What is going on, people? Welcome back in today's episode. I've got another student testimonial for you guys. She goes by the name of Amal Osman. Now, this is probably one of my favorite testimonials because not only did I work with Amal, but I got to have a conversation with Amal's mom and dad because they were curious to understand why Amal was jumped in quantum leap and some of the challenges that she had to do. They wanted to know why. They wanted to know how they can also show up for Amal and her other siblings. So Alhamdulillah, which means all praise to Allah. Now, Amal's mom and dad, if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you so much for making that moment happen and actually conversating with me to understand what it is that Amal was doing with me. So yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, that was like a sign from Allah to me that I am on the right path because we are trying to create some serious changes for all my students that come into the program. My intention is to help them become the man or the woman that they dream of being one day, inshallah, for themselves and for the family that they wish to create, inshallah. If God wills, for the rest of you guys. Now, before we begin, I want to ask you to take a deep breath in with me right now and a deep breath out. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Oh, alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam. How are you doing, Mom?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I'm
It's
very
good
good,
to see you.
alhamdulillah.
I think I'm actually really excited for this one.
I'm sure you are. I know why.
Yeah, I think after speaking with your mom and dad the other day, it was like played a massive part in like my journey. It's like for why I do what I do, and like the change. I just knew the change that was about to happen after that moment was like something else, you know. And I
Hmm.
guess I guess tell me what was. Give me a short update and what happened after that.
We had a conversation about it all. They liked you and they understood what he was coming from. And I think my dad was opening up a conversation about something that happened before with me that he did not find the answers for. So he was asking me about something that happened before. And I can understand. And they were like curious, they were like, do you want to bring my little sister into the program? So yeah, and then after that conversation, what happened later on is like then I suddenly had a conversation with my sister, which was so weird. In the same day, I think, or the day after. Um,
Well,
it was weird because I don't know. It felt like she needed me at that time.
well,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I didn't know what to expect when I spoke with your parents, and I didn't know if they would understand the perspective, right? And but they did. Alhamdulillah, it was. I can't explain it. I just knew there was so many changes that were gonna happen after that conversation.
Mm,
It was beautiful.
yeah. They really liked you.
I'm
But
glad.
I feel like there's a part of them that just doesn't understand healing just yet. But it's like they're getting it. They're understanding where you're coming from.
I think most importantly, it's like even for us. Don't forget, like even for you and me, it's like when we speak about healing, it's like you don't really know how that plays a massive role impact in your life in terms of the way you show up, the decisions you make, from the partners
Mm.
you have, the way you show up for your children. It's like even for us, still difficult to grasp. So it's like for them, it's just the door just opened, you know.
Yeah, of course. That is what I wanted to do. And also lately, I've just been like, I don't know, there's like a shift in the way I was eating as well that just impacted me as well, which is weird because I normally, when things like this, I would normally ignore like having this conversation, but I sat down with it instead of running away, which normally I would, and I would feel scared about opening this up, but this time I was more present and I was feeling everything, even like the energy that was in the air. I was
Yeah.
more present with it. And I was, instead of like reacting to it, I was more listening.
I'm so happy for you guys. Honestly, it's like it's because it's one thing. It's like working with people when it's just them, but it's like when their family gets involved, there's no going back. And
Mm,
it's like it's something we all need. In our lives, like in terms of our family being involved in the healing process. Because it's one thing just trying to do it all on your own, but it's another thing is when they start actually seeing the beauty in what you're doing. And there's
mm.
one thing specifically I left your mom and dad with, and I was like, I want you guys to hug your children more often.
That's what they've been doing. And my mom has been doing that. She keep hugging me and like more my mom more. And my dad is like whenever I tell him to, but he will give me the hug.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like, and then your dad's response was amazing because he quoted the prophet, peace be upon him, and he was saying how that's the one thing like he was telling other people to keep doing, and it's like because that it's easy to forget that love can heal, you know. Like you don't need to know how to be there. Like because what I've noticed one thing when they were speaking to me was like one of the things was they didn't know how to help you in your challenges, and
Yeah.
it's like they had this urge to want to know have the answers for you, but it wasn't about that. They don't need to help you figure something out. It's like more like have faith in you, but and be there for you and
Mm,
be supportive. And even if they don't know how, just try their best. And it's like sometimes it's just a hug, right?
yeah.
It's just a hug.
Yeah. Especially my dad. Like I've never seen my dad like I don't know, talk about himself and how, but I now I understand where I get my what's the word, why I overly like not depend on others, but like don't know how to speak up. Like I think there's a part of my dad's characteristic that I adopted from him, that,
Yeah.
like, bless him, he carried a lot, and he was opening up about his journey when he was young, and about his father and the people that raised him to be who he is. He's grateful for them, and he recognizes, like, he gives credit where it's due. And that's a big part of me as well. I give credit where it's due, and I think that I adopted that from my dad.
Mhm.
That characteristics from him, and he really is an adventurous guy. My dad, he's an adventurous guy, very curious, even though even though there are certain things like I know when it comes to like me helping me with anything, he will be forward. Anything, he will do anything for us.
Wow.
Mm.
It's honestly, it's
He would
amazing.
he
It's
would
like,
sacrifice his own legs if he wanted to be there. Yeah.
and it's like sometimes they think it's like they need to tell you what to do, but it's sometimes just support you in the decisions that you feel like you need to make,
Mm.
helping you trust yourself.
Which is
Right.
hard for them to, because they want to do that part,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't
It's
want
like
them to do that part.
they don't want you to make mistakes. They feel like they need to protect you.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And even though it comes
Whereas,
across
and
as
with
controlling, it's like for them
yeah,
that's like you need this. You need us
mm,
to do this for you. Otherwise you're not gonna go down the right path. And it's like
mm,
them having faith. And it's like I was speaking to them, I was telling them how for you to say get into this program was something you had to choose to do, right? So it's like they can trust that you are also like you're seeking for your own way, and it's like you're going to find it because you're a natural seeker. So it's like we wouldn't be having for us, me and your parents, to have that conversation. You had to take that step, so it's like they can trust you in terms of that you're on the right path, right? And this is where it's like I could tell it's like because they were thinking about your college, your studying situation, and I was telling them they just need to trust you, right? Because it's like they're trying to figure it out for you, but it's like this is something you need to do, not them, right? But whereas when they're planting things in your mind, it's like they even though they might be wanting to help you with it,
they create more confusion.
yeah, yeah, which is
Mm,
instead of actually telling you to trust your heart, trust yourself. And I one thing I remember I specifically left them with was, let her fail if she needs to fail. Mistakes are not a bad thing. It's like sometimes that's the best way to learn. It's like we go down the wrong way to figure out the right one. But instead of not taking any decision is the failure, right? Like not just staying still. But whereas when you get to the end of your journey, wherever that is, it's like you're gonna realize every step you took, regardless of whether it was a mistake or the right way, it was the right way because that was the only way for you to take, right? So it's like for them as parents, it's like they have to let go of that safety net that they just want to hold you in like a baby and keep you there. But just trust yourself, like, because it's like the woman, when you're turning into a woman and you're seeking for a partner, getting married, and the whole family life. It's like you're constantly going to be making decisions for yourself, and it's like that's why most parents get really emotional in terms of the marriage situation, that letting the daughter go, because it's like that's the moment for them where it's like from a baby to your daughter to a woman. Now they have no responsibility. They have to let you go.
Sorry, Naz, I just had a bit of a tears there.
No worries. I mean, honestly, like, you don't understand how much that meant for me to speak to your mom and dad, and like they were really listening. They were really listening, and this is the moment where your life changes forever, because it's like the generation has already started changing because of you. And then look, like if you remember back in the beginning of Quantum Leap, like you would have never thought it would come to this point, right?
Never in a million years would I actually thought that, you know what, let's get a third party involved and let my parents sit down and listen. Because I think there was a part of me that just wanted a third party involved, like a year that is someone who's not familiar with my parents, who's actually speak and understand, not understand, but like give them a different perspective, a non-judgmental perspective, one that is not of a biased, and I didn't want it to be family as well at the same time, because they could, like, I don't know, talk from their own experience and give advice based on their own biased, and I didn't want that. Almost like a therapy, because I always was interested. Why don't we actually go for therapy? So yeah,
Yeah,
I really am. Thank you for that. Honestly,
you're welcome, and thank you for like allowing me to help you in that way, because it was a blessing. And I don't think I can explain to you how that impacted me, but it's like that was like a sign from Allah, like why I do what I do. And like, because I always worked off the base of making the impossible possible, and that was one of those moments where you never have believed that would have ever happened. Especially me remembering our conversations before, like your relationship, the way things were at home. From that to them jumping on the phone to speak to me was just, it just said everything, and that they seek to want to understand why you're doing what you're doing, what you're going through, and how they can be there. And that was like a blessing, like for me to experience. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of that.
thank you, Renaz. You've been a very great resource, like that God sent for me. I'm really grateful for you, honest to God.
You're welcome. Thank you. I guess the intention for this call, I want people to hear more about the program and like get more people involved, because there's a lot of people that love these testimonials, and it really kind of like shares what's been actually going on, because it's like you don't get to see the stories, right? Because they're only hearing mine, and when they now speak to you, when they see this or hear this, they're gonna hear like a complete different perspective.
Yeah,
and
to get a perspective of what's inside the program from someone who's actually been in the program. So
yeah. I guess the first question would be like, what was life like before you joined?
Okay, this is not my first program that I invested in. So there was a previous program that I joined in, and a coaching program. And that was my first experience with healing. And it all started with the fact that I was fed up with my own self and fed up with the fact that I am indecisive, um, just feeling stuck. That's all. And I cried, and I lashed out at someone on the phone. And that was a result of building up all the suppressed emotion that I didn't know how to handle. And that led me to invest in a program just before Quantum Leap. And that's when I realized, whoa, healing is actually so much more than your emotions. And I didn't realize how my emotions were actually subconsciously dictating my behaviors unknowingly. And I was causing like harm to myself and the people around me unknowingly. And I wasn't aware of these. I wasn't aware of anything that I was doing. I thought I was just always, I was blaming on me or myself, or it's just part of me. I'm lazy, or I'm this and that. But in actual fact, they were actually little traumas that was from childhood that were impacting me in my adulthood, and these behaviors, and a lot of I was triggered in a lot of things. I was fed up. I was triggered at home, work, and just exposing myself to this information was one of my almost like the door that I needed. And it was like an awakening for me. And I needed to in the beginning I had this perspective, like these traumas are for big things like abuse or those, because that's what I was thought what trauma was because, you know, unless someone has gone through a massive shift in their life, like those types, I didn't really think of like little challenges like uh, my parents not saying, not acknowledging me for my efforts, but actually, and then what behaviors I was adopting from that and messaging that I would get. So,
Okay.
and so life before Quantum Leap was confusing. I resonated with you. I think that was the thing that I liked about you. And I knew I needed a bit more help. Like I needed something to challenge me even more, even though now that I'm aware of all my behaviors and things, like I needed some sort of an accountability. And that's why I joined Quantum Leap, and I didn't know what I was jumping into.
I guess, what is it that kind of like made you feel like I want to know more about this program?
I think I resonated with the message, and especially things. Oh, sorry, my little brother.
That's okay.
I wanted to know how you conquered your social anxiety. Why did you start at home? I think that was the thing that was different about other programs, was the fact that you healed your traumas from home. And I was like, okay. And I understand, and a lot of things happen at home. Things happen at home and they impact us in our adulthood. So I was like, okay, this is different. And I wanted to heal myself from home. And, you know, because that is where it starts.
Yeah. I think, you know, the crazy thing is I actually started the other way. I went outside. I was looking for it outside. Like from lying down to dancing to dating to relationships. I found everything outside, but every time I came home, I was the same person again. Like everything would change outside, but when I was at home, I was the same boy. And that's what made me realize like the greatest challenge isn't outside. It's at home. because that's fundamentally what impacts the way we show up for the big decisions in our life and the littlest. To little things like you choosing what to wear, what to eat, and how to walk, talk, everything literally
How to
stems from it.
dress, how to style your hair,
Yeah,
how do you apply your makeup, all of that.
yeah, everything stems from there. And it's like I was that person that seeked for it outside, and I found it there, but it was like I realized it was never about getting rid of the fear, the anxiety, but being able to sit with it. And then I would come home and I would be locked up at home. It's like I felt like I had to hide. I was like, I'm this free person outside. Like before, when I used to make videos, I used to be scared of my dad or my mom or anyone hearing it. So I used to wait till times where it was like quiet. Whereas now, I mean, look at this. I can't hide this, right?
Yeah, I think that's the same with my eczema. When I decided to try an alternative method, go to a different path, was actually the fact that I took my resources from outside. And all this time, I was stuck in a bubble of like, I wanted to heal my skin, but I was so scared because I was just doing this by myself and made a decision that I want to do it and look at it from an alternative perspective. And I seeked it outside on YouTube, listening to various testimonials from people who healed. But the one thing that I was doing over and over and over again was that I was listening and comparing my journey, my own skin to other people. And there was so much noise in the background and I was conflicted with all this information. So I decided, let me try like my diet, and then maybe like my dieting, cutting back on, those refined sugars. Like obviously they all play a part, don't get me wrong, those refined sugars are actually nasty. But I thought healing was just changing my diet. Really, I didn't take into the consideration of my environment or my behaviors, my emotions. So I think that's where it really started for me. And when I finally just unlocked the idea, the fact that my emotions were actually governing my behaviors, I've seen changes in my own skin where I actually tackled my emotions.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? It's like that was the same thing for me as well. It's like my skin was a big problem, as you know, and the biggest thing I think that impacts your health is your emotions first, and then everything is like it adds on to it. So it's like fundamentally it's our emotions that impacts our body first. Like stress is the biggest killer, right? They say. But imagine that emotional, the pain that we carry throughout our lives. Like just you being at home, like deep down, it's like
I was so scared. Like I hated like people looking at me or commenting on my skin, and there were some remarks like my body was going through so much changes. It was crazy. There were not just these symptoms, there were other symptoms that I developed, like my body odor completely changed. There were other things like I was losing weight, these little tiny signs that my body was giving out, and I didn't know what to do with them. And to be honest, the GPs were not really helpful. Like it was just like
it's a
steroids, and
quick
I didn't want
medication.
steroids. I didn't want steroids, and then come back with like worse. And so I realized they don't have the time to sit with me to go through all of my medical, like my history, where I come from, how it impacted me. They couldn't do a bit of an investigation, technically speaking. So I realized, okay, well, how about I decide to do my own little investigation, trial and error, basically, maybe check this out, do this all by myself. I didn't know. And then I was like, let me go to the more prepared. And then when I did, she just threw everything out the window. And she said, I don't have time to deal with all of that. And that just made me feel really sad. I actually wanted to cry. And then she gave me that creams again that I told her that it didn't work. And I just given up at that point. I was like, I'm doing all of this. What is missing? And then I realized I needed help outside. And I thought, okay, well, how about I deal with my emotions first? And that's when I joined the program. And within 2 months, I started not itching at all. I was not itching. My skin textures changed completely. Of course, I did a bit of changes, but the major changes was the fact that I tackled my emotions, my pain that I was suppressing for so long. And I wasn't scared of like people looking at my skin. Like even now when people like mom looks at my skin, I'm not really that concerned anymore. It doesn't bother me. So that's how I
whereas
knew.
now you use
Yeah.
that trigger to learn more about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
I'm
before it
learning
was like,
more about my
I need to
skin.
fix this so I don't feel this
Yeah,
way.
this shift in my mindset has actually changed from looking at my skin like, oh, this is so bad. Instead I look at, okay, so what's going on here? And then that's when I discovered like alternative medicine and like naturopathic medicine, and their whole system is very different to the most conventional medicine. And that even intrigued me even more. And that's why I'm going in that path really. And I'm very grateful for all the things that I done, failed, failed again, and invested in like 2,000 pound program almost. And even though the outcome was different, what I gained was invaluable for me.
Alhamdulillah. I
Alhamdulillah.
think like that quote that we always said, how do you find freedom with it, not without it,
Yeah.
right? Like same thing with social anxiety, same thing with our traumas. How do we find freedom with it? Because it's like the mind automatically wants to get rid of it. Like that's the solution for the mind, but our minds are hardwired to only get fixed on the next problem. So once you fix one problem, the next
It
one.
comes up with another.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I actually came across very inspiring people who I really, really respect. And I'm like, oh my God, they are changing the narrative. And not the narrative, but like they're actually speaking the truth in that way. And they're practicing a medicine that was so sweet and very compassionate and very holistic. And finally, the answers about people's um, diseases are connecting their dots. They're connecting their dots. Things like I never considered my whole life was actually is actually real, and it's not all in our heads, you know.
Yeah.
And for so long, people have thought it was just in our head, or of course there are factors to play in part, like things like money, socioeconomic issues, funding. But now I understand it is health is a lot more than we think it is. And it's a lifestyle at the end of the day, and it's a choice that you have to decide. And there are people out there who are tricking us into thinking that we cannot heal our illnesses.
For real. I think I saw
But
a
the
quote
real
this morning.
answer was actually within us. We are capable of healing.
I agree.
The body is an
100%.
incredible, intelligent machine. I hate to call it a machine as well, but it is.
It's like we've got everything we need basically to show up. And I think it's our immune system, right? And it's like I saw a quote this morning, and it was like saying, "I know the whole world isn't trusting you right now, but I have faith in you." And it said to my immune system, because especially right now, this is more needed than ever, right? In terms of health and showing up for ourselves. So I guess the next question is, what is life like now for you after the program? I know we've spoke about this already a little bit with your parents and stuff, but I would say like, how do you feel now in terms of the way you show up, the way you, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So I guess I'll fill this in. Yeah, initially, as you guys probably heard already, we spoke about in the beginning, like Amal's parents.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I think you should
Then
fill
hi,
us in.
sorry. Can you give me 5 minutes? There are some sort of interruptions.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We can pause it here and then continue again. Okay, so we'll be back, guys, in a quick break. Okay, we're back. I guess the question was, what is life like now? I know we've already spoke
Okay.
about this, but like, how are you feeling in terms of decisions? Like, if you just reflect a little bit back on the first time you jumped on the phone, the discovery call for
Yeah.
Quantum Leap, like that first ever call we've had,
Mm-hmm.
to who you are today. What is the biggest difference?
I think the biggest difference is the fact that I am no longer scared of my emotions. That was a big thing because I used to hide or avoid. That was a big part. I avoided like emotions like fear or like tears or the fact that I say to myself that I can't do it. That language has completely changed.
Well, that's amazing. And like, I think that's one of the greatest challenges any one of us has,
And I
is our
know now
relationship.
that I'm exposed to like you and the other students and members of my quantum leap and hearing their stories, it's just very inspiring and shows me that it is possible. Like what makes me think that I cannot do, um, even though our journeys are quite different, but one thing I notice about all of us is our desire for bettering ourselves, one obstacle after another, and like instead of like focusing on the goal in itself, we are more figuring out the lessons and gems from each obstacle, and then unlocking a door to the next obstacle and be like, that's another challenge, but let's roll with it and see what comes up. And being more comfortable with the challenges, even though they're not going to be easier or more smoother, but even though they might be more relaxing, they might be fun, and we are no longer are scared of the fear that comes up.
I think that's the most important part. It's like, so like everyone has this idea that once it gets easy, it gets easy. You know, once the bigger your life gets, the older you get, the more challenging it gets. And not saying that it's not challenging when you're younger, but it's like the more responsibilities you take on, the more businesses, say you create a business, you have a family, you get into a relationship. It's like, it's not just you anymore, right? Like you have to be there for others. And it's like that comes with a heavy challenge. And it's
And
like
it's
how
a
you show
heavy
up.
responsibility. And I think that's what, and I realized the challenge with my own health was the fact that my health is just not about me anymore. And it's about the people around me.
Wow.
And I am more comfortable, and I'm more than happy to challenge this perspective of health that we have actually been programmed for the longest time, and it's the same mindset and mentality that keeps us stuck. And I think I read a post earlier from one of the person I follow on Instagram, and she said that we are the only species that accept death as a side effect. Why? Over like a heavy procedure or heavy medication, but these medication impact our physiology, our chemistry, and changes them. But we shouldn't be quick in giving them. We should be able to investigate,
100%.
explore other options, but it starts with the willingness of the person and the willpower of them to be healing. You know, there's a relationship called the doctor and patient relationship, and it's very sacred. Once it's broken, it's broken. There's no coming back to it, because it's a lot. You trust the doctors a lot, and then they do that. It's hurtful. I think that's why a lot of people, they are better doctors.
Trust, to be fair.
Yeah, they are better doctors, obviously. And just because you have one doctor doesn't mean you're not able. You shouldn't be having another opinion. Never stop. I mean, and then build on your own. Build a team around you.
Okay.
One that care about you.
That's interesting. That's definitely interesting. I think that's one thing that everyone can take from this is like, because I have family members who put their lives on the line for a doctor simply because they have the title of a doctor. They have nothing else to give to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no relationship, there's no bond there. They're just, oh, he's the doctor, so he's right.
Yeah, because civilization before used to be a village, and all the medical doctors used to know the family deeply from a young age until they grew older in adulthood. They used to know them very well, and they knew how to provide for them. But the civilization always relied on their self first, their own resources, their food. The food used to be good. It was nourishing. It was healing them. It was a tradition that's passed on, a wisdom from families to another families to another generation, a whole civilization.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Like how in today's time, everyone's
been
told to take it.
Now we're fragmented. We do not rely on our neighbors for anything. We don't know our neighbors, and in Islam, it's such a big thing to know your neighbors. We are very individualized, very selfish. We don't care for one another anymore, and we do not speak the truth even. And then we hide away, shy away from the truth because it's challenging. Or you're judging me,
Yeah. I guess it's like one of the things that I really wanted you to focus on with every student that I focus on is like handling that tension, because it's like even for you to speak out
it's
your
all
truth
about handling
right now.
that tension. We are quick to shoot the messenger, or we don't even want to listen to the message.
Trust me, the world needs. I think right now, especially with what everyone's going through, this is more relevant than ever. Like,
don't be scared of a virus that you can't see, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, trust me, guys. I am like a die-hard. Like, I'd rather die. If I'm wrong, I'd rather die.
You have the capability of handling this, guys. I'm telling you. Whether you take it or not, I don't really care. But come on now, we have a body. It knows what it's doing. Find the right healthcare providers and stay strong and healthy.
100%. If you want to make changes, start with your diet. not anywhere else. So the
Find
food that you eat.
maybe if you're struggling with the diet, go find a registered nutritional therapist that could help you. That's a step, you know.
Yeah,
There are
100%.
so many misinformation online, and I can understand why people get all these myths, and it's crazy, you know. And corporations know they can spread misinformation as well. So find
Oh my God. Yeah, let's not
good
even go down
team.
that road. So, next question is, what was your most profound moment? What
I
was
think
the
there's
one week?
three, but I will
Okay,
give
go ahead.
out of I'll prioritize the top ones. And the no, I think the fact that my parents got involved.
Yeah, yeah, I think that has to top everything.
My parents' involvement in the program was the greatest blessing, because I normally do not share. Um, I used to jump into things without considering or getting them involved in what I'm doing.
I think
I
you're
used to be
one of your
scared
biggest
of it.
challenge.
I used to be scared of them reacting. I think I was more scared of their reaction, or be like not being accepted, or they don't understand it. Instead of, because I'm always like thinking, oh, they will never understand. It's useless explaining it to them, because I'm expecting an answer of like, okay, I can trust you, not the other way around.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and what would you say your next profound moment is?
Doing the line down challenge.
Yeah, you gotta love that one. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Okay, so the challenge everyone has gave me was to lay down in a public place um, for 2 minutes, or for it was 2 minutes, I think.
2 minutes, yeah.
Uh, the idea is to shut down the yippy yapping noise that was going in the background, and notice the shift before and after. So before it, when you've given me the challenge, I thought to myself, there's no way I'm gonna do that. I'm not someone who likes to be the center of attention. And I have a fear of like people look at me weird, like, why is she doing this? You know, I hated to stand out. I hated standing out in public. So when you give me this challenge, I was thinking, this guy, what did I just set up for? And I actually was criticizing you while I was doing it. I was thinking, no way I'm gonna be doing this. Like, this is very stupid. Why did he assign me this challenge? I was about to give up. There was one point I was about to give up and turn around and go home. And
But you did
yeah,
it.
yeah, I was more scared of what other people would think. Then when I came out to the challenge, walked out the store, I was like so happy. I was so smiling.
What was the big realization that you had after?
What was I so scared of in the first place?
How can I ask how that affected you in terms of fear and understanding the concept behind it?
I think it was the fact that there was no one else that I was speaking to more apart from me.
Yeah, yeah. And I
It's always
remember
about
when
me.
yeah. I think
Mm.
it didn't even matter about the people, right? Even though in your mind it did, but in reality, it was never about anyone that was around you,
Mm.
right? Okay, and okay,
I
wow. So
really felt like a surge of like confidence I've never felt in my whole life when I walked out. I was laughing the whole way through with a really big smile. I was just so happy. Like a weight was lifted off me after I done it.
yeah, everyone says that, because it's
Yeah.
like it's a massive realization, like on how many other areas of your life you might be doing this in,
Mm.
like
And I was
telling
relying
yourself
on
the story.
past information, past information that might have not been true, or they were true, but they were more of a fear talking. They were
Yeah,
talking me out of a decision because of that's why I was thinking to myself when I did that challenges, I was always indecisive, thinking twice about doing something. And when I done the challenge and I done it, just done it, even though even though I hated it in the beginning, but I walked out loving it. I wanted to do it again.
that's crazy. That's crazy. You see, that was like the start. Because for me to get you to a stage where we are with your parents now, I needed you to do that. Like, do you see how it connects? Because it's like, if we relied on the mind for information, we wouldn't be here at
Mm,
all, you know? Like, I wouldn't have had that conversation with your parents
yeah,
either. Like, that would
exactly.
have been non existent, right? Because you would have been set in your
Mm-hmm.
ways. You would have truly
But
believed that there's,
subhanallah, everything was like a little tiny drops that was rippling effect. The ripple effect was just already happening.
well, alhamdulillah, I'm grateful.
Mm.
Um,
And even then, I realized, even when I did the program, I did something. I invested in another. I invested in my own health, in to finding a naturopathic doctor, and that blew my mind. I was thinking, wow, like I felt like all this time I needed, like I felt like I connected with my doctor in such a way that I was thinking, oh my God, all this time, all these rejections was actually the fact that I feared doctors because they never actually looked at me in the eyes or seen or heard me properly. And when I sat down with a consultation call with him, I felt like I prayed in my heart. I was thinking, I wish everybody could have this access to this nice, lovely doctor patient relationship that is so different. And I feel like everybody should deserve this.
well, I feel like that's why you become an advocate for the very things that kind of like change your life. And there's a purpose here, And like you have to follow that. For me, it's the same thing. Like what happened with my
Same, I
parents, my
realized this
healing.
is my calling. Like, I need
Yeah,
to do this and I can't
you
avoid
do.
it because it's calling me. And I'm
I need to
seeing the
fight for it.
impact. Yeah, I'm seeing the impact of these subtle things in my workplace. And I work with elderly people. And I'm noticing these things. And I'm like, oh my God, these people deserve better.
Yeah.
Why do we accept these as normal in our society? Why? When there are 100 million people who actually want to heal, they they want to not be dependent. They want to be independent in themselves, but work in a net with a network of collaboration with the healthcare providers. But also, like at the end of the day, they want to be responsible for their own health. They want to there's nobody who knows you better than yourself at the end of the day, and no doctor is an expert of you. Nobody lives with your symptoms longer than you do, and everybody deserves a healthcare provider that pays attention to these little dots to further investigate. But the problem always relies on the fact that there's not enough funding, there's not enough research. And that's why people rely outside the NHS, go private because of that.
Yeah. Okay. Where would you say people should start if do you want to get a naturopathic doctor?
Or functional. The things that they can do, which is free and completely free, like you don't need a doctor to see this, is go outside, eat well. Like you guys know, there's information about what's good. Real food has no ingredients, okay? Real food has no ingredients. And your kitchen, it starts with your kitchen. Your kitchen is like your pharmacy. Keep it like that. Simple.
That's real talk right there.
Yeah. And sleep. I cannot comprehend sleep. Turn off the Wi-Fi, that TV, that phone. You need to sleep and wake up early. Not wake up early, but sleep is very important.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sleep hard,
Okay.
eat well, move your asses, guys.
So it's usually the things that we
Free.
leave till we leave till we're free as well. We say we'll have more time for these things, but the truth is those are the things that actually make the biggest impact in terms of our health. We're just waiting on Amal here.
Yeah, that's my mom. Sorry.
That's okay.
Things that are free, guys. Prayer, having grandparents, having a community. I don't know. There's so many things that are free, guys.
It's like basically taking care of yourself first with what you have already.
Yeah, what you have already. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Things that don't really cost much.
Uh-huh.
And if 100%. You really have struggling to sleep, buy blue light glasses, guys. Blue light blocking glasses.
You keep telling me about.
Yeah, honestly, that is one thing that you might want to invest in. It might cost you a good quality one, maybe 70 quid, just good one, just keep at night,
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. You see me wearing those.
Yeah, you will. I've been telling you that from the get-go.
Too many times.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't forgotten. Anytime I see it anywhere, and I'm like, I start doing my research on it.
Yeah, because the eyes are, they're very sensitive. Guys, the night is meant to be for sleep, rest, and you need to be able to rest. And you don't want to be. The reason why a lot of people do not fall asleep is they have their phone next to them, and they're watching it, and it might mess up their sleep pattern, their clock, basically, their body clock. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Or another way to kind of avoid that is basically once do all your work in the day.
Put on airport mode and just put it in another room. Tell everybody I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I guess the last question would be, what would you say to yourself or anyone else that is thinking about investing in the program?
Let's take a deep breath there before I answer that question. There is no right or wrong answer here. Whether you choose to join the program or not, you were blessed with that information, and that came for you. Congratulations. And if you are not ready yet to invest in it, that's okay. because you can reach out to Minhas and he has plenty of free resources for that that you can listen to and take notes and, be inspired, guys. Do not neglect and bypass your emotions because they do have an impact on your body. Every avenue of our lives, our spiritual health, our mental health, physical health, the way we show up in the world, our neighbors, our communities, and the wider world, And we all need to take it seriously. And do not be scared of other people accepting this message because it doesn't matter whether they accept it or not. The fact that you chose to start this healing journey is important. That's in itself significant, and I applaud you for that.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing on the light and then you're expanding it. That's the beauty of it. It's like you don't need to wait for other people. Everybody's journey is different. But the fact they'll be grateful for you at one point. Like, so animals, human beings are social creatures. And when someone does something differently, one thing that we do is we shame them for doing it. And that's a tactic, fear mongering. And what else? We talk bad about them. And then if you can't get them to change all of that, we accept it.
Yeah.
Look at all the like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They were ridiculed. They were name called. They were their own communities abandoned them, but they soon accepted it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like my whole family, a lot of my cousins and stuff, everyone, uncles, aunts, everyone kind of like ridiculed me in the beginning.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like they're all accepting it and they're all actually studying it. Like when they speak, I can tell.
See?
You have to learn about these things to speak like this.
Yeah. And as human beings are curious in nature. We are very curious. We want to know things, explore more. And that's our nature, guys. This is our nature. We are very curious. We have this innate ability towards the truth, and we want to explore more, even though it might be completely different to the norm. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, or is it a good thing? Because both sides, it doesn't matter. But what matters is the fact that you lean back on your values and it aligns with your values. Naturally gravitate to those who are truthful in their speech, who feel safe in your presence, and whether they like it or not, they will talk about you. and that's it.
Okay, well, thank you. Honestly, it's been an honor to share this journey with you. And I'll be here, I'll be here, and just open to hear more about your journey. And I told your parents as well, if they ever need any help or anything to talk to me about, I'm here. And yeah, inshallah, I think just afterwards, recently hearing you connect with your sister again, I know that's something that was a big step for you as being the oldest sibling. I think I just want to say I'm proud of you for doing that, because they do look up to you.
Guys, I'm the oldest child, so can you imagine me just doing completely with no guidance, no one to look up to, no one to ask for help, and I'm scared of these all information that I am already absorbing. I'm like, who do I go to to share these ideas? I couldn't share with friends because they're all busy, and that's why I connected with you, and I wanted to know more about healing, and because I found it to be the most important thing in my health and in my skin journey, and yeah.
I feel
And
like
I
it's
uncovered a lot more than I actually thought that I would get,
yeah,
even though I wasn't able to achieve all the things that came out with the program.
yeah.
I'm happy and satisfied with the lessons and gems that I learned from you, Minhas.
You're welcome. You know, it's been an honor for me to be.
Barakallah khair.
It's been an honor for me to be a part of that, and I think you've just as much as I've given to you, I feel like I received that back. And in
Yeah,
terms of
and the community as well has been amazing. Like I connected with people
yeah,
who we all want something different and we want to be better for not just ourselves, but the people around us, the ones we care about. I think at the end of the day, that's what matters to everybody.
yeah, I agree. It's like you need to surround yourself with, like, even if whoever's listening or watching this right now, the
With
fact that
like-minded people.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's important because
very
otherwise,
important. That's why I always come back and circle back to the fact that we need a community. And Quantum Leap has a wonderful community, even though we're quite different in ages and our journeys, and we are listening to one another and we
100%,
acknowledge our journeys.
100%. Well, I want to thank you, Amal, for being here today. Honestly, it's been a pleasure and an honor. And say salam alaikum to your mom and dad. And hopefully, when this comes
I
out,
will.
maybe let them hear it or watch it because I feel like they would love to see it.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
they do.
well, it's good. It's good to catch up. I'll be here anytime you need me. Just send me a message. And
Hmm.
thank you for being here.
The pleasure's all mine, honestly. I'm
I'm grateful.
honored. I've been one of your students. I
I'm
might come
grateful.
and see you in London very soon. Who knows? And you'll be like,
Inshallah.
Minhas, come on. Yeah.
Inshallah. I'll be here when you're
Who
here.
knows? You might have a retreat with all locally with the people in the program.
Inshallah. You see me? I ain't gonna stop doing this. So trust me, we got big
Yeah,
plans. So you see it unfold. You see it all unfold anyway.
inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Well,
You are a big part of my own journey. So, yeah.
okay. Well, I'll be here all the way. I want to see how your journey unfolds and how things gonna unfold for you. And anytime I need any medical advice, I know who to go to.
I am that girl who will not shut up about health, all right? Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's passion. And all right, I'll let you go because all my batteries are dying. But inshallah, we'll catch up soon. And you keep me posted. I'll keep you posted on this episode.
Okay.
And yeah,
Way.
speak to you soon.
Okay. All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Take care.